Well, hello again, everybody. This is Bob Milam again from the Utah High School Football Officials Association with our topic today, the revised penalty enforcement for 2023. This will replace previous penalty enforcement videos, which have been accurate up to this point, but we've got a new way of doing things in 2023. So we're going to cover it to the best that we can, and we will get you started and ready for the season to come. So, without any further ado, let's get going. So our agenda today is we're going to look at some background. We'll review the rule itself. We'll review the concept of basic spots. We'll also talk about these two terms, plays and downs. The rules treat them differently, and penalty enforcement is dependent upon our understanding of these two concepts. We'll look at the new enforcement process. First, what doesn't change. We'll look at then loose ball plays, running plays, and exceptions and other situations. So the new process changes a lot of things and it doesn't change other things. So just be aware of that, and we'll cover those as we go through this. We'll give you some important points and tips to remember. Review the new cheat cards, which should be being distributed to your association as we speak. We'll break down 7 plays on video and then sum everything up. So we will spend about the next 30 to 40 minutes doing all of these things. So let's get going. The background. Why the change? Why do we have to change the way we're doing things? Well, basically, this is based on our rule philosophy, which provides or tries to provide a balance between offensive and defensive strength and potential to balance the game. And it was felt that in the past, the rules created some difficult situations for the offensive team, and now we're trying to bring that back into balance. We're not trying to create weird situations here. And if all else fails, please use your own common sense when you enforce penalties. There's no weird scenarios that are going to be created by this new rule change. So make sure that you penalize these fouls correctly. And it does eliminate the penalty enforcement for many offensive fouls, but not all of them. Some of them, it leaves the penalty enforcement the way it was. So we'll take a look at those differences. It also changes some enforcement for the defensive fouls. And the bottom line is you're going to be required to memorize more than you have in the past. So be prepared to put your thinking cap on, go to work, be prepared for your games, and then try not to get the brain lockup that occurs sometimes when these things happen during the game. Also, the background here, why the change, is to say goodbye to Rule 10.6. There is no more all but one principle. Well, that's a good thing because that was always difficult to explain to people, that principle. So it goes away. But the basic spot is now elevated in importance versus what it was in the past. And all fouls are now penalized from the basic spot unless otherwise specified by rule. So the basic spot essentially now becomes what used to be called the enforcement spot for most penalties, as again, except those specified by rule. The new enforcement is found in Rule 10.4, and that's on pages 81 to 83 of the 2023 Rulebook. And here they are. Here are the pages that are reprinted, page 81, 82, and 83. And you'll notice all of the gray that's been outlined on these 3 pages is all new, including the entire table on page 83. So spend some time with these rules, with both the new and the old basic spots and special enforcement rules that are here in Rule 10.4 and 10.5. This will be time well spent. So the basic spots have been redefined this year. The penalties that apply to each of these are spelled out on page 81 and 82 of your rulebook under Rule 10.4. So it defines the basic spot, and we now have 7 of them. The first one is the previous spot. Then the end of the kick is defined as a basic spot for PSK fouls. Also, the spot of the foul, which is a new basic spot this year, is defined in Article 4. Article 5 talks about the succeeding spot, the 20-yard line, the goal line, and the end of the run or related run. So these are the 7 new basic spots that we have. We used to have 6, and they've added Article 4, which defines the spot of the foul as a basic spot. So in the past, we've used this normal weird separation. So now we have 4 normal basic spots that are used quite frequently and 3 that are used very, very infrequently. So the 4 normal ones are the succeeding spot, defined in Rule 242.10. This is where the next down will begin. That's the succeeding spot. The previous spot, defined in 242.7, is where the ball was last snapped. The end of the run, 242.9, is also defined, but it's different than the succeeding spot or the previous spot. It's the end of the run. Number 4 is the spot of the foul. That's defined as 10 in 10.4.4. That's new, and that's where your flag is laying on the ground. Also, we have the PSK spot, which is the end of the kick. We have the goal line for a safety after a change of possession, which is defined in 10.4.7, and the 20-yard line for fouls that occur during a play resulting in a touchback, which is defined in Rule 10.4.6. So again, 7 basic spots, only one of which will be used for each penalty that is called. So this basic spot derives itself from one of 4 time intervals. The first one is during a dead ball period. The ball is dead, which means it's not live, it's dead, which is between downs, or also non-contact fouls like unsportsmanlike conduct and other non-player fouls on coaches, non-players, fans, administrators, anybody else who is not one of the 22 players in the game at the time. Those fouls called against those people are dead ball fouls. Now, if we have a live ball, that means that occurs during a down. And this can be one of 3 other intervals. So we have a live ball during a loose ball play, which is defined in Rule 10.3.1 and 233-1. And it is really important that you guys all read Rule 10.3.1c, which defines clearly the difference between a loose ball and a loose ball play. So make sure that you know that difference, because it's very critical to getting our penalty enforcements correct. The second live ball interval is during a running play. And this is essentially when the ball is in somebody's hands. Somebody is holding the ball. And hopefully they're not standing still with it. They're running. They're not walking. They're running. So that's a running play. And that's defined in these 3 rules. And then the final interval are live ball fouls that are simultaneous with the snap. These include fouls like illegal formation, illegal motion, illegal shift, live ball, illegal substitution, and a few others. So those are the 4 time intervals that we deal with. And the basic spot is based on when the foul occurs. So if the foul occurs during a dead ball, then the basic spot is the succeeding spot. If it occurs during some of the running plays or after a momentum exception, we're going to use the end of the run as our spot. But if it occurs during some other type of running plays and loose ball plays, then we'll use the previous spot. So we'll come back to this in just a minute. If it's a PSK foul, we will use the end of the kick as our basic spot. If it's a foul by B on a safety after a COP, which stands for change of possession, then and only then will we use the goal line. If it's a safety prior to change of possession, we will likely use the previous spot as our enforcement spot. Also, foul by B on a play that results in a touchback, we will use the 20-yard line. And finally, exceptions to this policy are found in Rule 10.4.4, which specify spot of foul enforcement. So you just have to look at that rule to see what all of those are, and we'll cover them in a minute. But the key here that I want to point out is that some warning plays will be end of the run and some will be previous spot. And it's all based on the type of play and what happens there. So we're going to dive into this and define which ones go where and why. All right, so let's look at, in order to understand this whole concept, we have to understand the difference between the meaning of the word plays and the word downs in the rule book. And quite simply, a down is defined in Rule 271. It begins with a snap or a free kick, and it ends when the ball next becomes dead. The key is to know when downs end. We know when they start, but knowing when they end is critical. And the next down will then start at what is defined by the rules as the succeeding spot. A play, however, is defined differently. And they're defined on page 38. There are two types of plays, a loose ball play or a running play. So let's look at when each of these end. A loose ball play ends when the ball is either caught or it's recovered, and the ball becomes dead by rule, such as an incomplete pass is a good example of a loose ball play that ends when the ball becomes dead. If the ball is caught or it's recovered, as in a fumble or a kick or a backwards pass, or a forward pass is caught and then fumbled, the loose ball play ends when the ball is caught or recovered. A running play ends similarly when a player loses possession beyond the neutral zone via a backward pass, illegal forward pass, fumble, illegal kick or bat, or the ball becomes dead by rule. The runner is tackled or the runner runs out of bounds. So these are when the plays end versus when the down ends. So let me ask you guys a question here, and this relates to penalty enforcement. So a simple question: do plays and downs necessarily end at the same spot? The answer is not always. Sometimes they're in different places. This will be important later because we will be enforcing most penalties based on where plays end, not necessarily where downs end. And they can be different. So it's important that we note the difference there. All right, let's start talking now and take a look at the new enforcements for 2023. What stays the same? Well, dead ball and non-player fouls, they will be the succeeding spot, and there's no change to this. So if you have a false start, an encroachment, an unsportsmanlike on a head coach, we're going to do this exactly the way we've done it in the past. Loose ball play fouls by Team B on defense. Team B, of course, refers to the defense. They will always go to the previous spot unless another rule takes priority. For example, a PSK foul. But loose ball play fouls during normal loose ball plays will always go to the previous spot if it's a foul by Team B, just as we've done in the past. Post-scrimmage kick fouls will use the end of the kick or spot of the foul, as we have in the past. If the foul is behind where the receiver catches the kick, then we will penalize from the spot of the foul. If it's ahead of that, we'll penalize from the end of the kick. So post-scrimmage kick fouls are handled exactly the way they were previously. Fouls simultaneous with the snap always go to the previous spot, same as they always have. Fouls by the kicking team during or before legal kicks, the receiving team retains their option to take the ball at the succeeding spot. So this is no change from the past. So if we have a foul by K during or before a legal kick play, live ball fouls will carry the succeeding spot option. Also, the special enforcements covered in Rule 10.5 on page 82 of your rule book, none of those have changed. They are all exactly as they have been in the past. So review those again. Finally, fouls on Team B during scoring plays still carry the try and kickoff option as they always have. So scoring plays other than a safety, I should clarify, but fouls on Team B during scoring plays, they can always carry that over to either the try or the kickoff. All right, let's look at the new enforcements on loose ball plays, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, get into running plays in greater detail. These are the new way of doing it that have changed, okay? So fouls by Team A or K, the offense or the kickers, during a loose ball play, it's now previous spot enforcement. This is new. So we will no longer take a holding penalty by the left tackle when the quarterback drops back and releases a forward pass. We used to enforce that from the spot of the foul. We will now enforce that from the previous spot. This is the equalizer. This is the great change in the rule that we were trying to address that will alleviate some of the excessive penalties against the offense. So keep in mind this one. Also, fouls by Team B, the defense or the receivers during a loose ball play, no change, previous spot. So guess what? All loose ball play fouls by either team enforced from the previous spot. This is simple. Don't overcomplicate this. Okay, that's very simple. Loose ball play, previous spot, regardless of who does it or where it happens. The new enforcements for running plays are a little different, and they're a little bit more complicated. So if the foul occurs during a running play, we need to know 4 key things. Where was the previous line of scrimmage? That's number 1. And it points us to a particular pregame conference that we need to have with all of our chain crews and box people throughout the state on every level of game, whether it be little league, sub-varsity, or varsity. We've got to have our box person stand still and hold their spot until the head linesman moves them. That is critical. We need to know where the previous line of scrimmage is. If your box man moves, you're screwed. So make sure your box man stays put. Number 2, where was the spot of the foul in relation to the line of scrimmage? Was it beyond or behind the line of scrimmage? So where was the spot of the foul? Where is the flag? Is your flag in a good spot? Behind or beyond the line of scrimmage? Where did the running play end? Did it end behind or beyond the line of scrimmage? You can see why knowing where the line of scrimmage was is really important here. So we need to know where the running play ended, where was the spot of the foul, and where was the line of scrimmage. And remember that the running play does not always end where the down ends. So realize that's why we need to know where does the play end. And it could be with a fumble. It could be with a player going out of bounds. It could be with a tackle. And then finally, who committed the foul? Which team? Because it makes a difference as we enforce this. So 4 key things to remember. Line of scrimmage, spot of the foul, where did the running play end, and who committed the foul. All right, so let's look at this. Now, we're going to look first at fouls against Team A during a running play. And you can see I have 3 columns here. The first 2 will determine what shows up in the 3rd column over there. So, during a running play, the spot of the foul is either going to be behind the line of scrimmage or beyond the line of scrimmage. If it's behind the line of scrimmage, whether the foul or the end of the play ends behind or beyond the line of scrimmage, our basic spot will always be the previous spot. So if it's behind, the foul is behind, the end of the play doesn't matter where it is, behind or beyond, we will go from the previous spot. Similarly, if the spot of the foul is beyond the line of scrimmage, but our play ends behind the line of scrimmage, we will also go from the previous spot. The one that's different is this last one. If the foul is beyond the line of scrimmage and the play ends beyond the line of scrimmage, then we will enforce from either the spot of the foul or the end of the run, whichever of those is closer to the previous spot. Okay, so the thing to remember that you're looking for here is what we call the beyond situation. All the other fouls against Team A or the offense are going to be enforced from the previous spot unless you have a beyond scenario. Then you're going to pick either the spot of the foul or the end of the run, whichever of those is closer to the previous spot. So that's fouls against Team A during a running play. Now let's flip the coin and go over to the other side of the ball. Fouls against the defense during a running play. Again, our spot of the foul could be behind the line of scrimmage or it could be beyond the line of scrimmage. Now this time we're going to focus on the end of the play. Where did the play end? If the play ends behind the line of scrimmage and the foul is against the defense, we are going to go from the previous spot. This is a change. So for example, quarterback drops back to pass. He's tackled by the face mask with a 7-yard loss. This is a behind scenario, and we will enforce that not from where the tackle occurred or the end of the run as we did in the past, but now we're going to take that from the previous spot. So this changes some of the enforcements against the defense on running plays. If the play ends, however, beyond the line of scrimmage, then we will use the end of the run. So the key thing to note is, where did the play end? If the foul is against the defense, you have to know where the play ended, either behind or beyond the line of scrimmage. If it's behind, we'll go to the previous spot. If it's beyond, we will use the end of the run. So hopefully this is a section of the presentation today that you may want to rewind and watch again just to cover that. I'll also let you know that this information will be encoded on the cheat cards that you're going to get so that you can refer to those during your pregame or if you get stuck on a tough enforcement. Now, there's also some enforcements that are spot of foul. The following fouls are exceptions to this new policy. So the basic spot is going to be the spot of the foul. These are found in Rule 10.4.4 on page 81 of your rule book. And they're copied here word for word with each section letter heading. So illegal batting or kicking behind the end of the run or the related run will be penalized from the spot of the foul. Similarly, illegal participation, but only if it falls under 964A or 964G. All other forms of illegal participation revert to the type of play that we just covered. 964A talks about players who enter the down after the ball becomes live. So they have 10 players on the field, they realize it, they snap the ball, and the 11th player runs onto the field and participates in the play. That's illegal participation, should be penalized from the spot that he enters the field. 964G talks about a player whose helmet comes off during the down. Helmet comes completely off, and they pursue action beyond the immediate action where their helmet came off. They're guilty of illegal participation. That is also a spot foul. All other types of illegal participation revert to the type of play that was involved. Third, illegal forward pass or intentional grounding. This will be taken from the spot of the foul or the illegal forward pass, wherever that initiates. After a possession change, fouls by the team in possession that are behind the end of the run are penalized from the spot of the foul. So again, after a possession change, fouls by the team in possession after the change is made that are behind the end of the run will be penalized from the spot of the foul. This is important to know because this happens a lot. A foul committed by Team A in their own end zone that they're defending that is accepted by the defense, by Team B, is going to be a safety. And that is an exception to the policy. So quarterback drops back into his end zone. The left tackle holds in the end zone, and there's a foul for the holding penalty that's lying in the end zone. That penalty is accepted. That will be a safety because it is measured from the spot of the foul. Finally, we've already covered this in our chart that we had on the last slide, but a foul by A during a running play that is beyond the line of scrimmage and behind the end of the run. So this is a beyond situation, one of those asterisks where we go down and look for the spot of the foul. We covered this already on the last slide, but I've repeated it here. So, because of this, we have a few important corrections that you need to make in your rule book. And again, go back and watch this section again so that you understand which ones to cross out and what changes to make so that the rule book is consistent with these principles. First, you need to strike through rules 10.4.5 points E, F, and G. They're simply not needed in the rule book, and they're the highlighted gray areas that talk about succeeding spot enforcement. The second change you need to make is to strike through Rule 10.5.2. This is also covered in Rule 10.4.7, right above that, and we only use this spot on a defensive penalty following a change of possession. Finally, the last change to make, over here on the table, there are 3 areas in the lower part of the table under the basic spot column that uses the word succeeding spot. We need to change that word for that phrase from succeeding spot to end of run. And there's 3 instances where we need to do that. And that's simply because the end of the run and the succeeding spot can be different, like we covered earlier. So it's important that we keep our terminology consistent. This was supported by an announcement by the Rules Committee interpreters in August of 2023. All right. Let's talk about some keys to getting these things right. This is going to be confusing, and we realize that it's going to take a few weeks before we really settle into the new way of thinking about things. But some really things that can really help you. Pre-game with your chain crew. Have your box person stay put. I can't emphasize this enough. This is a really key thing to helping you out of penalty enforcement. If you've got a wandering box man, you're going to be screwed when it comes to penalty enforcement, especially if you get a difficult one. Second, remember, plays are different than downs. The succeeding spot is where the next down begins. It's not necessarily where the end of the plays are, and we enforce penalties based on plays, a lot of the live ball fouls, that is. Third, slow down. Mistakes will happen in haste. You need to slow down and sort things out. Take a deep breath. Make sure you get all the input you need to make the calls, but slow down. Ask the question, what was the foul? When did this foul happen? On what type of a play? Where did the foul happen? Is your flag in a good spot? Who did it? Get all of this input before administering, and hopefully you know where the play ended as well. And then assess whether or not the exceptions apply. Finally, spend some time informing the offended coach because his options are going to be different this year. And a lot of penalties called against the offense will be declined this year once the coach is accurately informed. Then once you're all done, administer decisively. So this is key to just maintaining your credibility as a crew with everyone involved in the game. So take a moment, do these 10 things as you assess and enforce your penalties. So to help you with this, we have now 2 cheat cards that we're going to give you. On the left, we have running play fouls by Team A and running play fouls by Team B. And we've highlighted on there the beyond situation for offensive fouls because it's the one that's different. We've also highlighted the end of play fouls that are different from the previous spot. So you can see all of the previous spot enforcements are in white, and all of those that are different than the previous spot enforcement are in gray. So hopefully this will help you. We have also highlighted point D under spot of foul enforcements on your supporting what I call the weird stuff card. After a possession change, fouls by the team in possession that are behind the end of the run are now spot of foul enforcements. This is the way they've always been, but nevertheless, we've had to spell this out. So make sure that you don't try to apply the charts on the left to a situation on the right. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Let's look at some examples on film. I've got 7 plays here I want you to watch. Here's the first one. This one I want you to watch the left defensive tackle. He is going to be double teamed with what is called a chop block, and this is an illegal block. So that's going to be the penalty that you're going to see on this play. The previous spot, we are 2nd and 11 from the A21 yard line. The spot of the foul occurs right at the line of scrimmage. The end of the play ends at the 18-yard line, which is behind the line of scrimmage. So that's where our running play ends. The foul that's committed is a chop block. When is it committed? Well, it's live ball during this running play. And let's watch this now. I'll run the clip. So hopefully this clip will show you. There's the double team block on against number 54 White, who gets up from the play. I'll run it one more time. You can watch it once more. Go back again. Pause this section of the tape. Go back and watch these 7 plays again, and you'll see the fouls that occur. Okay, so this is a live ball play, foul during a running play. Where does the foul occur? Where's our spot of the foul? It's just beyond the line of scrimmage, but our play ends behind the line of scrimmage. So this is a behind situation. Who commits the foul? It's the offense. So our basic spot in this case is the previous spot, not the spot of the foul, but the enforcement is the new enforcement. We don't enforce this from the end of the run like we used to. We now enforce half the distance from the A21. So this will go back to the 10.5 yard line for the next play. All right, here's our next play. 2nd and 8 from the 18-yard line. The center pulls the defender down on top of him and commits a holding penalty as the ball is thrown up the field to around the 35-yard line. So the spot of the foul, I'll watch that. Let's run it again. You can see it. Watch the center and the nose guard. Right there, he pulls him right over on top of him. The spot of the foul is the 15-yard line. The play ends at the 35, which is well beyond the line of scrimmage. The foul is holding. When does it occur? It's during a loose ball play, right? All the action that occurs prior to this legal forward pass is considered part of the loose ball play. Where does the foul happen? Well, it happens behind the line of scrimmage. So we have a beyond situation with a foul against the offense. So again, the offense commits this foul. So where is our basic spot for all fouls committed during a loose ball play? It's the previous spot. So again, this is a new enforcement as well, and we will take that penalty half the distance from the previous spot, which was the A18. So the next down will be 2nd and 17 from the 9-yard line. Okay, here's our third penalty. This play, it's 2nd and 9 at the 36-yard line of the team in white. So the previous spot is the A36, but this foul will occur well down the field at the B30. The result of the play is an incomplete forward pass, and let's see what foul is committed here. So we're going to watch the receiver at the top of the screen. This is a pass down the sideline to this receiver. Defender beat on the play, catches up, grabs his arm, and our back judge calls pass interference on the play. All right. So this is pass interference on the defense. So when was this foul committed? Also during a loose ball play. That's really all we need to know to get the enforcement right on this one. But let's go through the rest of the details. Where was the foul committed? It's well beyond the line of scrimmage, or the basic spot in this case. Who commits the foul? The defense. It's a foul during a loose ball play, so we're going to penalize this from the previous spot. Our enforcement, no change, 15 yards from the A36. So again, we are going to penalize 15 yards from the previous spot, and that will result in a first down for Team A. Here's our next play. 1st and 10 at the A41 yard line. I want you to watch the tailback on this play. Previous spot is the 41. The foul will occur at the 39 yard line, 2 yards in the backfield. The play will end with a 1 yard gain to the 42, which is beyond the line of scrimmage. And what foul is committed? Well, just watch. Let's watch the tailback. He's standing at about the 32 yard line. As he gets the ball, he's spun 360 degrees by a face mask major and then tackled at the 42 yard line. So our foul in this case is a face mask major against the defense. When did it occur? Well, it was a live ball. It's a running play. Where did this foul occur? Behind the line of scrimmage, 2 yards deep in the backfield, but where did the play end? It ended at the 42. And for fouls against the defense, that's the critical factor. Where did this play end? And this is indeed a foul against the defense. So our basic spot is the end of the run from the 42. So our enforcement, 15 yards from the 42. This is not at any change. This is the same way as we did it last year. So 15 yards penalized from the A42. Play number 5. This one's going to be a holding penalty. And I want you to watch the wide receiver at the top of the screen. Previous spot is the 36 yard line. He's going to go down 5 yards up the field, and commit a foul at the 41. The play is going to end 6 yards beyond that at the 47, up almost to midfield. What foul is committed? It's going to be holding. Let's watch it. Pass is thrown. There's the hold at the 41. The runner continues to fight for yardage, and he fights to the 47. Our wing caught that. He threw a flag on it for holding. So that's our foul. So when did this foul occur? You may want to watch this clip again. Let's see if we can do that, and let's determine, is this during a running play or a loose ball play? There's the catch. There's the hold. This is a foul during a running play. So we know because the ball had been caught, it's now in possession of the offense and the offensive player. So this is a foul during a running play. And where was this foul? Where was the foul committed? Well, it's beyond the line of scrimmage, and it's also the end of the play is also beyond the line of scrimmage. So we have the beyond scenario here. But it is also behind the end of the run. So we have a behind situation, which makes it actually fairly easy because now, once we know the offense has committed this foul during the running play and we have the beyond situation, our basic spot is going to be the spot of the foul where the flag is laying at the 41 yard line, because it's closer to the previous spot than the spot where the play ends at the 47. So our enforcement, 10-yard penalty from the A41, and this is no change from what we've done in the past, the same way we've done it in the past. All right, play number 6. Previous spot here is the 48 yard line of A. The spot of the foul is going to occur way back to the right of the screen at the 35 yard line. The result is an incomplete pass. What foul is committed here? So let's watch. Watch the quarterback. He simply dumps the ball out here into the flat where there's nobody there. It does not reach the line of scrimmage, nor was he outside of the tackle box. So this is a classic call of intentional grounding. So we have intentional grounding and the pass initiated from the 35 yard line. So This is a foul that's categorized as being during a loose ball play because the foul is where he released the pass to. So that's a loose ball play. So we have a foul during a loose ball play. Where is the spot of the foul? It's behind the line of scrimmage back at the 35-yard line. And the result of the play is an incomplete pass. So who commits the foul? This is the offense who commits it. But where is our basic spot for this type of a foul in this situation? It's the spot of the foul. This is one of the exceptions. So in this case, we are going to enforce the penalty from the spot of the foul because intentional grounding carries that penalty. 5 yards and loss of down from the 835. And guess what? This is no change from prior year. This one is also not affected by the rule change. So again, you're going to penalize this exactly the way you did in the past. Watch it one more time. And we'll go on to the last play. Textbook intentional grounding. All right, play number 7. Now we have a punt. We're going to punt from the 40-yard line, the R40 going in. The spot of the foul is going to occur at the 30-yard line and involve the receiver who is now standing at the numbers on the close side of the screen, on the line judge side of the screen. The result of this play is a touchback. The punt reaches the end zone. What foul takes place? Let's see if we can see it. It's going to occur at the 30-yard line against the receiver at the bottom of the screen. There's the snap. Here comes our punt. That receiver is held and restricted from moving down the field to cover the punt. Our line judge correctly throws his flag at the 30-yard line, and we have holding by R during a scrimmage kick. This foul meets all of the criteria for a PSK enforcement. So that's the way we're going to treat this. However, the ball also rolled into the end zone. So we have a touchback as well. So this one has a lot of factors involved as we go to sort this out. But it's actually not that difficult to sort out. So when did this foul occur? Well, it's during a loose ball play. Where did it occur? Well, it's beyond the line of scrimmage at the 30-yard line. Who commits the foul? It's the receiving team, the defense, essentially. So our basic spot in this case is based on where the play ended, which is in the end zone, and it's a touchback. So our basic spot, based on the fact that it's a touchback, is the 20-yard line. And this penalty will be enforced half the distance from the 20. Then it'll be R's ball, 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line. And this is also no change from the past. A little bit more complicated play, but nevertheless, if you sort it out properly and just apply the enforcement principles to it, you'll get it right all the time. One last look at this play. Again, you'll see the foul at the 30-yard line. There it is. And the punt goes into the end zone for the touchback. Okay, let's sum everything up. Number 1, I always say this as part of the summary, is to read your rule book, read your case book, watch more huddle, share plays, participate in the groups that watch plays together, ask questions, just become involved and become a student of the way the rules are written. And if you don't understand something, ask somebody for help. Most guys are very willing to help, or at least say that they don't understand either. So, and you'll hear that a lot, especially from me. So make sure that you read the rule in the casebook, watch more huddle, ask questions, highlight, share questions and plays. Review this presentation as a video on the website where you're currently watching it. So make sure that you share this video pre-game with your crew and chains. I can't stress this enough. If you don't do this, it doesn't matter what you do the rest of the night. So make sure you pre-game with your crew and chains how this works. Slow down. Go through the whole process each time. Don't make up your own myths or shortcuts or old wives' tales to try and save time. Oh, I just penalize, oh, it hurts the team the most. That's not the way it works anymore. So make sure that you don't try and apply a shortcut to the entire process. You've got to go through the whole process each time. And don't shortcut the process. Don't guess. So use your cheat cards, review them during the pregame, use them as needed to help you sort out what to do on the penalties. Finally, become an informed communicator during games, especially with the coaches on the sideline. You're going to need their input, and you're going to have to be good at explaining penalty options to them so that they understand what their choices are and they make good choices. You have to assist them during that role and become that kind of an informed communicator during games. Finally, memorize the exceptions and the special enforcements. There's no way around this, and there's a lot of exceptions. There's also a lot of special enforcements that need to be memorized. So with these tools in your back pocket, you should be prepared to have a great season. And with that, we'll close this video. Please contact me with any questions that you have, and have a great 2023 football season. Thanks.